To begin our installation, the first thing you're going to need to do is remove your seat. Once you've completed that, we're going to remove the plastic cover that covers the battery. You're going to use your 5mm hex key to remove it. Make sure you're holding on to all your bolts because we will be reusing them. Once you've taken the bolt out, you just have to pull from the bottom. And this plug that fits into the rubber grommet is what's holding it in. Once you've done that, take your 6mm hex key and remove the 4 bolts that are holding the metal battery cover. Then as you're taking out the top one, or your last one, hold the cover so it doesn't fall down. Then place it to the side. Here you can see the battery and the connections that are coming from it. Next, take an 8mm socket and we're going to loosen this bolt right here. This is holding the ground leads for the battery. Take out the bolt that's in between these terminals and put that to the side. It's always good practice at this point to take a piece of electrical tape and cover up these leads. They don't have any power going through them, they're just grounds. But it's better safe than sorry. Let's go ahead and do that one. And then do the other one. Okay, and then just push them out of the way a little bit. Then take the bottom of your power lead and pull it out of that clip. Now slowly pull your battery out. Then you're going to turn it. Keep turning it. And then you can bring it straight down and place it on your foot peg and your brake pedal. And this is the point where we're going to be routing the rest of our wires through here. Now that we have the battery removed, we're going to start feeding our cable through the battery compartment. Directly behind this white connector, there's an opening that feeds into here. So we're going to include in your kit, there's some metal wire. Go ahead and straighten it out. And then slide it straight through the opening. You can then take your hand, grab onto that wire, and pull it through. And pull a good amount of it through just so it's easier to work. Included in your kit, you're going to find the longest piece of wiring, which has a fuse holder, a red spade, and a black spade. This is a section that's going to stay in the battery compartment. If you follow that all the way to the end, you'll see this white connector. Take the wire that you just fed into your battery compartment, feed it through either of the connectors until it goes all the way through, and then wrap it around the base. And then take a pair of pliers and completely bend it so that the end of it isn't sticking up. We don't want that catching on anything. This gives us a secure connection for when we're going to be pulling it from the battery compartment through this hole here. So go ahead and slowly pull on your wire, and it'll start to feed through the battery compartment. And this will take a minute. Don't rush. Just do it slowly, carefully. Wiggle it, and it'll start to come through. Pull the majority of it through the hole. We'll stop about there. We may have to adjust it. Now that we've pulled the wire through the opening here, you're going to take your hand and slowly pull on this piece, this plastic piece here. Don't pull too hard, we just need to make a little bit of room. We're going to take the other end of our wire that's not connected to the white piece, and we're going to go straight up through here. And this will probably take a few tries. But eventually, you'll get it to come up about here. It doesn't matter exactly where, as long as we get it into this compartment. And then slowly pull up your wiring. Now we're going to have to pull back on this fascia a little bit here so that we can get that through. You're going to want to push and then pull. And then as you can see, luckily on the first try, it came through up here. Now we're going to continue to get our wiring up through there. And at this point, you're going to want to try and flatten it so that we can push this into the gap. If you have a flathead screwdriver, best way to get it all the way in. We're just trying to get it out of sight. Okay. And then push your plastic piece back on. And that was the hardest part of the entire install. From here, it just gets easier. At this point, we're going to leave the wiring the way we left it in the battery compartment. We're not going to connect any of this up until we have the entire rest of the assembly installed. There's no point in working with live wires at this point. At the back of the bike, next to the saddlebag mount, you'll see this hose with a large opening. This is where our power cable is going to come through. If you shine a light through the bottom or you wiggle it, when you look from the top, you'll be able to see that hole. And what you need to do is feed your wire through that hole and pull your power cable through. Now we're not going to need all this slack, but we're going to put it through just for convenience at this point. And now you can take off the wire that you attached to the power cable. Then you'll need to straighten it out, otherwise it won't go back through. There we go. Now we're going to connect our Powerlet outlet to the bracket supplied in the kit. The first thing we're going to do, if it hasn't already been done, is we're going to put our cover onto the outlet. So open it up, slide it through. Take the black bracket that came with the kit, slide the wire through, and you can orient it however you want. Next, take the brass ring that comes with the kit, slide that on, start tightening it up. Get that pretty tight. Next, you're going to need the black boot that comes with the kit. Slide that through so that the skinny end is facing towards your connections. I'm going to slide that all the way up. And then you're going to want to pull on it all the way around until it seats itself all the way up to the brass ring. Next, we're going to remove the nut that's holding the muffler onto the mount. You're going to need a 14mm wrench and a 6mm hex. Take the nut off, but you don't need to remove the bolt. Next, take the bracket that you just put the outlet on and slide that onto the bolt. And line up the top with the plastic piece that's right above it. Then take the nut that you just took off and tighten it onto that bolt. Now we're going to connect the main battery cable to the cable coming from the outlet. To do this, take the white connector that came with the kit and plug this into that cable. It only fits in one way. And if you look at the way it's connected, you'll see the black is coming to the top. So what we're going to do on the leads coming from the outlet, we'll grab the black one and we'll connect that into the top so that black is connecting to black. These only slide in one way. When they go in all the way, they click. And then the red one will then go into the bottom one. There we go, 2 clicks. The thing left to do is to pull our slack into the above compartment, and we're going to do that by using a combination of pushing up and pulling from the top. And the connector will go through. Then after you pull your slack through, you just want to make sure that the rubber boot is still pulled towards the brass ring. Once you pull the slack back up into the compartment, we're going to use some of the zip ties that came with the kit to secure the cable to any of the brackets that are in here. The goal is to keep everything from moving around, and also to make sure that the cable that comes from the outlet isn't going to get loose and then get into the wheels or the brakes in any way. So you want to avoid this area right here, because this is where the feet on your seat will sit onto this rail. So I'm going to connect mine, by the way it came back into the compartment, back here on this part of the bar, and then also over here. So go ahead and do that. At this point, we've completed all the work in the back of the bike, and we're going to move back to powering up the unit by connecting your power and ground cables. We're going to start with the power cable. If you pull back this rubber boot, you'll see two terminals. We're going to connect it to the left terminal. If you connect it to the right one, it won't work. You're going to need your 4mm hex key. And you're going to go ahead and loosen the one on the left. We're not going to take out the bolt. We just need to loosen it enough so that we can stick this spade terminal underneath it. Then periodically check to see if it'll fit. Okay, that one is ready. Now it's going to be directly under the bolt, but not under the silver. Now go ahead and tighten it. Then when you're tightening it at the end, try and hold on to it so you don't damage the connector. Alright. You can put our rubber boot back. Now take your black ground wire and feed it over this. And then pull it through. Okay. Now we're going to put our battery back into position. So we're going to twist it like that. You're going to start pulling on your cables. Pull this one up here and get that one somewhere around here. Okay. We're trying to keep this is going to be your fuse for your outlet. We want to try and keep that accessible just in case. So we take our power cable, get that back under that clip. Alright. This takes a little finesse. So you don't need to rush this. Just take your time. Now we're going to remove the electrical tape. There's one. See if we can find the end of the other one. Alright. And then all three of our cables are going to connect to this one terminal. So go ahead and grab your ground terminal bolt that we took out earlier. So our order for putting these three cables on is this one's going to be first, and we're going to have it so that the raised portion is flipped towards the inside, and then this one is going to be on top of that, and this one will be on the very top. And when you're putting these in, there's going to be a little bit of sparking. You don't have to worry about that. So you go ahead and start those two. And then you can take your last one, the one for the power outlet, and slide that under the bolt. And then take your 8mm socket and tighten it up. We're just going to do it hand tight at this point, because when we go to put our metal plate on, we may need to shift these wires up a little bit. Now you can go ahead and take the 15 amp fuse that came with the kit and slide it in. And take the cover, and we're going to put that on as well. There we go, it'll snap into position. And then push it up just a little bit. Now we're going to take our black metal battery cover, and we're going to work this into position. And as you can see, the placement of the wires is important so that we can clear this plate. There we go. Alright. And then go ahead and put your bolts in. And just do it hand tight till you get all four in. Be very careful with this bolt. It's easy to drop it into the fairing. And tighten these back up. And now take your 8mm socket again. And we're going to finalize this, tighten this up. Okay. Take your silver battery box cover, slide that in. Put the bolt back in, that's a 5mm hex. And now the installation is complete. Just put your seat back on, test it out, turn on your bike, make sure everything's working as it should.